First gear, baby. You ready? Ready. Welcome to the channel, 323 Fabrication. I appreciate y'all tuning in today. This is Johnny Cash. It's a 12 valve D350 chassis with a 518 automatic, which is a 3-speed with overdrive. Non-P pump, this is the early, it would have been a first gen truck. It's got a 40 Chevy cab and I've got a 40 Dodge front end for it. Pretty stoked about it. It's got a Dana 80 with a 354 posi in the back. And if you're new, welcome. If you're already here, you already know all that. So today what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna learn, I'm guessing some of y'all are here to learn as well. The trans is kind of lazy. It's real, I mean, it shifts really smooth, which I mean, I guess can be good. But I took it out, drove it up and down the road in front of the shop, and it's just, you know, you can barely tell it's shifting. I'd like it to be more crisp, a little firmer, especially because we're hoping to pull old cars with it. I think it'd make a cool car hauler. We got a bunch of hot rods, and so what I'm gonna do today is drain the pan for the trans again, drop the pan, pull the brand new filter. I'm gonna adjust the bands, and I'm gonna raise the line pressure. So I've never done this, but I read about it on a forum on Google. Doesn't look too hard. I borrowed a torque wrench from my buddy Ryan. Goes down, starts at 5 foot-pounds. Ours only starts at 10, and it calls for 6 foot-pounds for the torque, and then you got to back them off after you torque them. And then also, it could either be 6 foot-pounds or 72 inch-pounds. And like I said, we don't have a torque wrench that small, so I appreciate Ryan for letting me borrow his torque wrench. But here it is, y'all. I'll give you a quick I'll give you a quick walk around, and then we're gonna get started. All right, here's Johnny Cash, guys. It's pretty sweet. We bought it as somebody else's started and sold again project. Suicide doors. Truck's kind of rough, but not too bad considering it's a 1940. I guess they were going to paint it red. We're going to paint the truck green, but the plan currently, I'm getting a bed from a buddy of mine. We're going to flatbed it. Just got the stacks on it. Haven't driven it with them yet. I'm looking forward to it. Just got the front end lowered 5 inches. Give or take. New shocks on it, serviced everything, painted the valve covers. I got to do the killer dowel pin mod on it. Once we get the front end mounted and all that, then I got to figure out a narrow radiator and probably build a custom intercooler. But we did a rear end swap on it. I've still got to get shock mounts made for the rear end, but I'm waiting, hoping my drop shackles will be here tomorrow. I've just been tinkering, you know, wire wheeled the back half of the frame. Dad primed it and painted it. Looks good. Made some new brake lines. Just making general progress. My buddy Dan's got a set of power cloth bucket seats that he said I could get, because these are power leather, but they sit outside forever. So we'll get some seats in it. Just, you know, piddling, trying to get some stuff done. Should be a pretty sweet hot rod. And it'll be kind of ratty until, you know, one day we'll tear it back apart, do the body work, and paint it. Thinking of Verdoro green, which is the factory color for the 69 GTO we have. But this is the front end. Should have a stainless cross emblem on the grill. Super sweet. Need to get all that eventually, but the grill's in super good shape. The front fenders are over here, and they're not bad. They're going to take a little bit of sheet metal work, but nonetheless should be sweet. Have to find some original headlights for it. But y'all, the plan today, like I said, we're gonna drain the trans. Here's my bucket, and get the bands adjusted and the line pressure raised, and then we'll go out and test drive it. We serviced everything when we got this truck, and so I changed the fluid and filter in the pans. I went to an ATF +4 on the Cummins forum. Everybody suggested that for these older transmissions, said it would like it a little better. And while I had it off, I cleaned the pan and painted it, but I took a pipe thread bushing, welded it on there, popped the hole in the pan, welded it on there, and then I've got a little pipe plug. That way I can drain the trans. You know, extra 15 minutes worth of work was well worth it, because if you're, you know, if you've ever serviced an automatic that doesn't have a drain hole, it likes to make a pretty gnarly mess. And I don't really like this pan deal here. I've got a new rubber gasket on it, and I've snugged everything up, and it's leaked from the time I put it on. So it's kind of lame. I might RTV it when I put it back on this time and not use the gasket, because hopefully we don't have to take it back off. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, maybe I need to not, because if I adjust it and don't do something right, then it will be that much more to do when you take it back apart. But anyway, I'm gonna let this thing drain a little bit, and then I will pull the pan. Okay, we got the pan off. Now I gotta pull the filter. These are a T25, I already broke them loose. They're kind of long, but nothing to it. Then I'll throw this back in the pan. Like, we literally changed it. It's got idle time, maybe one lap around the yard or two. So we'll just reuse it. All right, now that the filter's out of the way, we're gonna get started. So I'm gonna show y'all what I've been reading, and then we'll go through it step by step. So this is your rear band adjustment. It's a 3/4 lock nut, and then this is a square head. It takes a 5/16 square point socket. So if you have a general Craftsman set, it comes with, I think, 5 square, 8-point sockets. This is a 5/16. This is only the second time I've ever used a square socket. All right, your other adjustment for your forward bands is this one here. Same thing, 5/16 square head and a 3/4 lock nut. And you need a torque wrench that'll do 6 foot-pounds or 72 inch-pounds. I had to borrow one. And then you come down here, and you've got this one here will raise your shift points with the blue Loctite on it. And then this one in here, this screw here, raises the line pressure. And I think they're 3/16 Allen. We're gonna have to find the Allen wrench and then cut it shorter so it'll actually fit between the case. That way you can do it without pulling the valve body. And they say 1 turn on this raises the shift points, especially like if you've done a spring, 3200 spring in the motor or whatever. And then this one, 2 full turns for your line pressure. They say every turn is 2.5, 3 PSI. So I'm gonna do what I read on the forum, because I really, you hear people say different things, but this guy had really good success for that. So 1 full turn on this and 2 full turns on the line pressure. And now, so far as these, you got to back them up, loosen them, and then you torque them to 6 foot-pounds, and then you have to back them off. But we'll go over that. I'll make sure I read each one. We'll do them one at a time. Probably start at the front band and rear band, and then come over here and mess with these. All right, it was a little tough. You can't get a wrench in there to it. But I took a 3/4 socket, broke it loose, and then I held this with the 5/16 8-point and backed this off. Now I'm gonna get the torque wrench, and I'll put the wrench on the jam nut so it doesn't accidentally tighten against the case. And I will torque this to 6 foot-pounds. Okay. So what you do, right? You torque it to 72 inch-pounds or 6 foot-pounds. Then you back it off 2.5 turns, which was a little difficult to do. And that's just the little stud that sticks out. Then you got to tighten up the jam nut. So I've got a 3/4 crow's foot on a ratchet, and then I'm holding the adjustment screw with the socket and this pull handle, and you got to snug it up real good. This side should be a little easier to see. So here's your stud, there's your lock nut. So I'll hold this, break this loose with a wrench, then I'll torque this to 72 inch-pounds or 6 foot-pounds. Okay, this side's actually an 11/16, but it's kind of snug to get the wrench in there with the way it fits around that. But no problem, we'll get it broke loose. Okay, we've got it backed off enough that it won't jam up while we snug it. Take our torque wrench and it's real easy to turn, so I really need my other hand so I can hold it and turn it the way I know when it gets. Sorry guys. Alright, now it'll do. Right there. Breaking right there. Let's see. Oh, no, it's my jam nut. Alright, I need both hands. Alright, so we backed this one off 2 turns and then snugged up our jam nut. Okay, so what I did, went and found a 3/16 Allen wrench. I tried to look, see if we had a Bobo one. We didn't. We just had this long one. I tried a couple other different ways. You won't need it cut for this, but you will need it cut for that one. So anyway, it's cut. But what I read, you're not supposed to do more than 2 full turns clockwise on this one. So I'm gonna do 1.5 on this one. And then I'm gonna do 2 full turns on the line pressure. This is shift point raising, this is line pressure. So there you go. But I'm gonna do probably 1.5 on this one and 2 on the line pressure. So I'm glad I went back and checked after I got done. This screw, I did 1.5 turns clockwise. I did this one 2 turns clockwise. I had to undo that and do 2 more turns counterclockwise. So this screw with the blue Loctite is clockwise. This other screw for line pressure is counterclockwise. Now I'm gonna read up on adjusting my kickdown cable just to be sure, make sure everything's happy. We'll button it back up. Okay, I added a spring. Not that one, that's for the brake. I added that spring up there so that the kickdown cable would stay forward. From what I read, it's how it's supposed to be until you mash the throttle and it catches it. I had to take my throttle return spring off up here. That was from here to this little pipe because it makes it really hard to work the throttle. But anyway, I might have to adjust the throttle and stuff a little bit. But I'm gonna get the trans filled up and then we're gonna fire it up, let it warm up, check it in neutral, and then I guess take it for a yard drive and maybe a test drive up and down the road. Okay, I did the best I could with an eyeball alignment, snugged the steering up. Trans is full. Well, I say it's full. I got to run it, let it warm up in neutral and check it again. I did take a 1/2-inch drive extension and stuck in here and braced it against the firewall with a pull handle and bent that so it's up off the exhaust. It's a little more difficult to get in, but it works because it was almost touching the exhaust. This was my breaker bar. I had a hard time turning that one. Had to put a pipe wrench on it. But I got a roll cage to weld up for a new old Bronco. You know, they make those new bodies for old Broncos now. Candy Customs in Geneva builds them. Pretty sweet. But y'all, I'm gonna get my jacket on, open the door, and then we're gonna fire this dude up, see what we got going on. Alright y'all, if you touch the brakes, it just slides the rear wheels. So I'm gonna get under here and read on this proportionate valve and back some of the rear brake off of it. Let it warm up a little more. I could use probably another half a quart of trans fluid, but it should be good enough to test drive it.
It's cold.
I like it. I lost one of my wooden blocks. Quick.
Good.
Y'all good?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna go park it. See if there's a burnout?
I don't know. You gonna leave it outside?
I'm gonna sweep up
Okay.
while the truck's not in the way.
All right.
What you think? That work out?
I'll leave her in the office till you sweep up.
Man, this thing's cool.
I think so.
All right. Successful test drive on the road. Y'all got to see it moving. Truck rolls out really well, makes good power. Trans is 10 times better. You can actually feel it shift now, and I wouldn't be scared to go in and raise the line pressure a little more next time I was in it. But as it stands, trans works well. We have 3 gears. Overdrive has to be wired into like a switch. And torque converter lock has to be wired into a switch as well. The rear brakes need a little more adjusting. They're trying to grab, but they're not nearly as bad as they were. And that could just be that it's been sitting, that rear end was sitting a long time. But that being said, I would say tightening the bands, raising the line pressure, and adjusting the shift points on the trans made a world of difference on it. And it was really cool to get the truck out and actually get to drive it. So I appreciate y'all watching the video. Y'all have a good one. God bless you.